Oklahoma Gardening is a production of the Oklahoma Cooperative Extension Service as part of the land grant mission of the Division of Agricultural Sciences and Natural Resources at Oklahoma State University, dedicated to improving the quality of life of the citizens of Oklahoma through research-based information. Southwood Landscape and Garden Center, Tulsa's source for great gardens, southwoodgardencenter.com, and the Oklahoma Department of Agriculture, Food, and Forestry, helping to keep Oklahoma green and growing.
We are behind the scenes planning for next season. In the meantime, we hope you enjoy some of our favorite shows from this last year.
Welcome to Oklahoma Gardening. On today's show, we visit with producers, employees, volunteers, and customers of the Oklahoma Food Cooperative to see how they make it possible for Oklahomans to buy and sell local throughout the state. On our journey, we follow some lettuce from the hydroponic greenhouse where it was grown, through the co-op's distribution system, and then on to a consumer with a craving for a fresh salad.
This season on Oklahoma Gardening, we're trying to highlight the various roles that go into local foods. We're talking with farmers, we're talking with co-ops, food banks, and all the different facets of where people can get their local food and how it comes to be available to you, the consumer. Today we're here at Arctic Farms in Blanchard, Oklahoma, and joining me is Andrea Parks. And Andrea, you got into this and you grow things hydroponically here.
We do.
Why did you choose to go with the hydroponic system?
We really like how it's environmentally responsible. Also, in a controlled environment like this, we can really control almost all the variables that you have to deal with traditional farming. So it makes it more consistent.
There are a lot of variables in the Oklahoma climate.
Most definitely.
So you've got tomatoes growing behind us here. They're beautiful tomatoes and also some cucumbers, it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us what kind of tomatoes you're growing here?
We're growing a variety of beefsteak, and they're just good mid-range sized tomatoes generally for slicing.
Okay, and they're indeterminate, and obviously we have a height maximum here. So how do you kind of manage that?
We do a process called leaning and lowering, where we just kind of, we first of all vine them on a string. And so we control everything by that string. So the plants are a little bit fragile. We don't really handle the stems. So we handle the strings and just sort of lean them and then lower them at the same time. And they just wrap around the base of all the whole row here.
Okay. They're quite long as a vine already. How long have these been growing?
They've been growing since July last year.
Okay.
And we'll replace them this summer as well. And they could reach heights of 30 feet.
So you get a full year growth out of these tomatoes. And is that kind of the prime time that you'll get produce off of them then? Is that why you replace them?
We do. We have a peak right after they first start going into production. And then it kind of slows down in the wintertime when there's less light. And then again in the spring when the days start to get longer, we start to see another peak. And then they kind of slow down after that.
Excellent. So you're mainly just growing beefsteak, but then behind us here we also have some lettuce, different types of lettuce you're growing.
We do. We have 1,400 lettuce positions. We grow greens and lettuce and bok choy and kind of a whole variety of leafy greens.
So you get a pretty quick turnaround on that when you?
Ideally in the summer when all the conditions are right. So we do about 45 days. Okay. In the wintertime that slows down too.
Okay, and that's obviously on a hydroponic system as well. So you're controlling all the nutrients in the water.
Right.
And are they in like a rock wool?
They are. They're in a rock wool. This substance here. It's kind of like a felty type of substance that we put the seeds in and then germinate the seeds and then we transplant them into the channels over here.
Okay, so if somebody's interested in your produce, how could they get a hold of it?
Well, we're at the Oklahoma Food Co-op, which is a once-a-month Oklahoma-wide delivery. And then we do the OSU OKC Farmers Market on Portland in the city, and that's every Saturday year-round.
Excellent. Well, thank you for inviting us into your greenhouse today.
Well, thank you. We appreciate y'all coming.
The Oklahoma Food Cooperative not only provides fresh produce to the customers, but they also provide other products such as fresh eggs. Joining us is Joe Nichols with BARLEY'S Garden Patch. And Joe, you are one of the farmers that provide these fresh eggs to the Oklahoma Food Cooperative.
Correct.
Can you tell us how many chickens you have and what's the process of harvesting those eggs?
Okay, I have about 120, most of them Heritage Rhode Island Reds. And harvesting the eggs involves coming out about 3 or 4 times a day and gathering them so that...
So they're laying them throughout the day?
They start laying. There's eggs when I open them up in the morning, and there'll be eggs when I lock them up at night.
Okay. And you got about 120 hens out here, so are you getting 120 eggs every day, or is there seasons to that?
No. Some of them are older, and they lay less. They may lay 3, 4 eggs. Some hens will lay every, I think it's 36 hours. Therefore, you're not going to get one exactly every day.
Okay, all right. So what's the process? I mean, you have your nesting boxes in there, and typically we think we need to wash anything that comes from the barn and that sort of stuff, and we think of eggs as being something that's in the refrigerator. But they actually have a protective coating on them.
They've got something called a bloom. It's a protective coating, and it seals them in, and they're very sanitary. It would be, you know, them being cracked or, you know, being real dirty or something that would compromise that sanitation.
So when you wash that, it actually washes
you actually get rid of it. That's
seal.
why it's better to have eggs that are clean, so that you don't have to do all that scrubbing of anything off of them. But if I do have a really dirty egg, and that does happen, I don't sell it.
Okay, all right. And now you don't just sell fresh eggs.
No.
You also have a couple of plants that you harvest off of.
I have blackberries and elderberries that I pick. The elderberries blackberries come off in early June. Elderberries follow about July, and I freeze them.
Okay, so you freeze the berries, both of the berries, and what's the process involved with that?
Well, you just freeze them whole.
Okay.
I wash them. Now, some people don't wash them, but what I do is I wash them, and then I air dry them with a fan on them before I freeze them. I don't, you know, stick them in there wet, because if you do, it's just nothing but a clump of icy.
You get a big berry frozen together. So as long as you're freezing them, you're not processing them. But
as long as you're freezing them whole and you're not handling them or taking a knife to them.
As soon as you bring a knife out, it's got to be a certified
pretty
kitchen.
much, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing your lovely ladies with us, and we look forward to seeing your produce at the Oklahoma Food Cooperative.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
When we think of the Oklahoma Food Co-op, we tend to think about the produce that comes through that co-op. But joining us today is Rick Pierce with Rick Farm and Gardens, and they actually sell perennial herbaceous plants here through the Oklahoma Food Co-op. How did you get involved with the Oklahoma Food Co-op?
Well, I was approached and requested by one of the board members to join, and he told me the benefits, and the big benefit was expanding our base of customers from statewide. Even when I go to festivals in Tulsa, people come up and say, hey, we bought plants from you on the co-op, and now they get to meet the person and I get to meet them, and the relationship builds from that.
So what are they getting when they buy through the co-op or through the farmer's market? Is it just kind of like a mail order, you get it in a bag, or what?
No. Well, first of all, my wife, it is packed like it's being shipped through the mail. The big difference between us and the co-op, say, versus any of the national nurseries, they're going to get a 1-gallon plant for the most part on a perennial, and we advertise exactly on the co-op what we're selling, the size and everything. So there's no surprises of receiving a $15 4-inch plant. I mean, ours would be not that much, and it'd be a 1-gallon.
Yeah, you've got some nice sized plants that you're offering. And,
yes, ma'am.
And you're primarily looking at herbaceous perennials that do well in Oklahoma.
Correct. Naturally grown.
Naturally grown. Okay. So what are some of the plants that we have? It seems like a lot of pollinator plants.
It's pollinators, it's butterflies, it's hummingbirds. Anything that will thrive and excel in Oklahoma. We have Oklahoma Proven, and we also have what I would call Oklahoma Tough.
Yeah, and y'all are on the hotter side of the state,
Yes,
being
we
down
are.
here in Chickasha. So
Yes, but the plants that do well here, I mean, hibiscus, we sell 18 different varieties. It's actually the plant that if someone puts it in their front yard, they'll make new friends. You know, people stop and ask them because it's such a beautiful plant. The Coreopsis, the Uptick series is just unbelievable, and as far as its number of blooms. Daylilies are the second easiest plant to grow, just behind irises.
you've got quite a few daylilies that are starting to come
Absolutely.
on right now.
Yes, we'll be taking those to market probably in about 2-3 weeks. We actually have a convention coming up, June 16th through 18th, and it's in Oklahoma City.
Is that the national or local?
It's a
or which-
regional.
Okay.
It's 3 states: Oklahoma, Oklahoma, Kansas, and Missouri.
Oh, fantastic. So you're involved in that. You know your daylilies.
I know at least 100 or 200 out of the 88,000 that are registered.
That's a good start. It's
Yes.
a good start. Well, thank you for sharing your lovely plants with us here. And it's nice to know that we can also buy plants while we're buying our groceries.
Oh, absolutely.
We are following the local food through the Oklahoma Food Cooperative Network. And joining us is Adam Price, who's the general manager for the Oklahoma Food Cooperative. And Adam, can you tell us about how long the cooperative's been going on and a little bit about the background of it?
So the co-op was started back in November of 2003 was the first delivery of the co-op, and it was basically just started by a bunch of local food advocates and a bunch of local farmers that kind of got together. Bob Waldrop's typically who we point at as the founder of the co-op. It was kind of his brainchild. He was back in the early 2000s. He was looking for a way to buy food directly from local farmers, and this is kind of what kind of materialized.
And now it's grown into this huge thing. You work with several producers and farmers.
We probably work with 50 to 60 different local farmers and producers that sell their products through the system every month. They sell through our online ordering system, so members log into their online accounts. It's basically online shopping.
So the farmers are responsible for posting their inventory on this website, right?
It's basically self-service. All of the farmers maintain their own product listings. There's literally like 5,000 different products that are listed on the website. So, personally, I wouldn't be able to manage all that. So it's pretty well self-serve. So they take orders on the website, and then they deliver everything to us on our delivery day once a month, and we handle distribution from there to our network of roughly 50 pickup sites all over the state.
Today is one of your distribution days, and that's what's going on behind us here.
Right.
So you've got, basically, you serve all across the state.
We try and hit anywhere in the state where there's a big enough demand for local food, where it makes sense for us, where we at very least cover our distribution costs and costs of operation. The goal of the organization is basically twofold. It's to provide a sales outlet for any local producer that wants to sell their products to Oklahoma families, and to provide a buying opportunity for anybody in the state that wants to purchase food directly from local farmers.
And it isn't just food, though, right? There's other things that they provide as well.
Yep, pretty much everything behind us is food products, but over on our other building, which you might have seen, we do soaps and bath and body care products. Pretty much anything that doesn't require refrigeration. So yes, we do call it the Oklahoma Food Cooperative, but there is a much broader assortment
But it's almost
of
like a
products.
grocery store.
That's
You can get a
exactly
lot
right.
of your toiletries and things like that.
Honestly, that's kind of how I describe the system. It's like I tend to say that pretty much anything you can find in a supermarket, you can find through our system in one way, shape, or form, but it's all made or raised or grown or produced in some way in Oklahoma.
Earlier we saw a flurry of people behind you working and sorting all of the produce. Now it's all volunteers really that do all of this.
They're members, almost all of them are members. Sometimes we have people that are non-members that show up and want to help. We call them volunteers, and that's exactly what they are. We do compensate folks for their time, and that goes back all the way to the beginning of the co-op. We compensate folks in credits, $7.25 an hour in co-op credit that can be used toward future co-op orders. So it's basically food trade. So we do compensate folks for their time, but they're also volunteering and pitching in and helping. It's kind of a barn raising. I mean,
And those volunteers are also who distribute those food to those 50 locations.
That's exactly
they
right.
actually drive it with their...
Some of our drivers are members. Some of our drivers are actually producers. It's kind of a mishmash of however we can figure out a way to get the food from point A to point B or C or D or whatever it is. We
Make it work.
tend to do.
And you've got a lot of paperwork. It's a well-oiled machine that we have seen. Organized chaos at its best.
That's better.
But could you kind of tell somebody if they want to be a customer here, how can they find out more information? And there is a monthly fee or to join the co-op?
The easiest way is just to go to our website at www.oklahomafood.coop.coop.co-op. All the information is there. Sometimes there is a register page if people want to sign up for membership. It's not a monthly, there is an option for paying by the month. We do have a couple of different membership options though.
Okay.
To become a full member in the co-op is a one-time lifetime membership of $51.75. And that, once you pay that, you're in for life. It's basically like buying a share in a company. So you're purchasing a share in the organization.
Okay.
We do have shopping pass options. If people don't want to pay the full membership fee, they can pay either $6 a month or $25 for a year for basically just shopping access to the food co-op.
All right. And if you're a producer and you want to get involved, there's information on your website as well.
That is correct. Yep.
Well, thank you for sharing this great day with us.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming.
In order for the Oklahoma Food Cooperative to work successfully, it takes an army of volunteers. And we're going to talk with one. Doug, you've been volunteering for quite a while here with your wife also.
Right. I've been a member for about 8 years and a steady volunteer for about the past 5 years.
So what are we doing today? You've got some eggs here.
Right. I'm getting ready to get an ice chest together to put some eggs in that came in from one of our producers.
Can you show us how you
Sure.
help organize all of this food and that it gets to its proper location?
Well, with the eggs, they need to have some frozen water bottles put in to keep them chilled.
Oh, okay.
And then we have a process. I've got a new ice chest here for the Paseo drop site. And I mark it with the ice chest number.
So several ice chests here are going to the Paseo district.
Right, and some
Oklahoma
of them are
City.
for frozen. They're like the meat, they need to stay frozen. It'll have dry ice packed with it. The refrigerated produce will also have a frozen water bottle placed in it to keep things cool. And then we have plant materials that come in from other producers that don't necessarily have to have any kind of refrigeration.
Oh, okay. So everything's still kind of divided up based off of either meat or eggs or produce, not
Right.
necessarily by customer just yet.
Correct.
Okay.
And then it goes to each of these 50 locations we have throughout the state. The one I'm working on right now is for the Paseo district.
All right. So how do you know which eggs go to who?
So I have a sign-up sheet with the member number and name and the producer of the eggs who brought them in. I have a customer that ordered, looks like 7 dozen eggs.
Wow. And so the farmer then marks on all of the product they bring in for each customer.
Correct. Their name and member number and which drop site it needs to go to.
So the farmer's responsible for that, labeling all their produce.
That's correct. And then we check it in and put the ice chest number, so when they get to the drop site, the customer will know which ice chest to look for their order.
Okay. So they might have to look through several ice chests in order to find their meat, their eggs,
That's
and
correct.
their produce. But
Right.
their whole order will be there at the distribution site.
From Hollis to Tulsa to McAllister,
Yeah,
and many points in between.
You guys have a lot of ice chests
Right.
that you're dealing with here in a lot of different locations across the state. How did you get involved in this, and what have you gained out of this?
Well, I've always been interested in eating locally based products and food, and it was a good way to get to meet the farmers and meet the people that are actually no middlemen, so to speak.
Yeah.
You know, you're just going direct to the farmer, and we kind of act as the middleman by getting it in the ice chest and getting it to our customers.
Well, it takes a lot of people, and it's also volunteers that actually then take these ice chests to those locations, correct?
Right. I will probably run the Northwest route this afternoon, which is a northwestern Oklahoma City.
All right.
So,
and that's
you know.
where the customer can then come pick up their produce.
Right. So it'll be a full day for me.
Excellent. Well, thank you for volunteering and making
Sure.
this all work for everyone across the state.
Well, thank you very much.
It's really easy to shop. So you can go on the website and you can look at just produce or just meat or just things that you need for your house or for taking care of your body, like toothpaste or soap or whatever. It's really easy to find what you want, and it's really easy to put in the order, and then picking it up is super easy too. We've got a lot of food deserts in this state. People wouldn't recognize that, and I think this is a really good way to kind of fight back against that dynamic. I think the quality of the meat in particular is much better than what you can buy in most of the grocery stores here. It's not very fatty, it's really nice thick cuts, and the way that it tastes, the flavor that it has is completely different. There's also, lots of people who are preparing really good meals in their home, and you can buy those if you need something quick. And it's still really healthy, right? So it's really nice to be able to support people who have families in Oklahoma and who are keeping with those old traditions of raising things the right way and treating your customers the right way too.
Knowing that this is quality food, soaps and powders and that sort of thing, and things and food and treats for our dog, and we know that's all good. So, and just being a part of a group of people who do like to promote Oklahoma and do like to eat well and do care about how things are made, and so those are some of the reasons we do this.
Okay, and so Here in Oklahoma, the local food movement's really taken a hold, and more people are interested in getting involved. Joining me is James Arati with the Oklahoma Cooperative Extension. And James, you are a resource for people that might be interested in the local food. How do you serve as a resource for these people?
Yes, as Oklahoma Cooperative Extension, we are providing a service to people who are involved in food production at small scale level and also large scale, but more so for the local food. We are thinking of people who are producing for short distances of delivery and looking at if they are looking either to process food and deliver to their consumers, or even those who are looking just to do the distribution aspect of it, because there are people who are not actually getting access to this food.
Right, so there's several areas and roles that people could be involved in, whether it's distribution or producing it, and you're helping all of these people then?
Yes, we do. If you look at the food cycle, really, you are looking at from production, processing, distribution, and even the disposal side. We don't talk so much about disposing of food. That's also a big component of the food system. So we are looking to help all people across the chain, and we are seeing businesses shooting up out of all these different stages. So we are willing to help them put together a business plan, put together a strategy plan, how to take this to another level of making it a business.
Because a lot of times as farmers, we might know the technical side of it, but we might need assistance with the business side of it or getting grants and funding.
And that's a big part where people are trying to figure out how they're going to get this business going. How does it sustain itself, and we are able to help them with tools that will show them their points of profits, and if it's a loss making, it's also good to see so that they decide if it's something they can venture into or not.
And it's not necessarily just farmers markets. It's CSAs, it's direct sales and things like that also?
Yes, food hubs like aggregate, like Oklahoma Food Coop, individual farm stands, name it, whichever level it is, we are able to help them. We go to the farms to see what they're doing and work with them at their local level. We also visit them at the extension offices statewide because we are able to travel to other extension offices, not necessarily come to Norman or Ada. We can go to whatever these producers are.
And this is a free resource for people.
This is a free resource for people. Feel free to use it. Call us, send us emails, we'll get back to you and help you. There's a lot of resources you can connect, not necessarily just taking it a business scale or business aspect. We can connect other resources that are available within Extension.
Well, thank you for sharing and being out there for us.
Thank you.
Next week on the Best of Oklahoma Gardening, we visit a couple of the Oklahoma Cooperative Extension Service county offices and their horticultural programs. There will be worms, bombs, blooms, and salad. Join us in for more TV you'll grow to love. To find out more information about show topics, as well as recipes, videos, articles, fact sheets, and other resources, including a directory of local extension offices, be sure and visit our website, oklahomagardening.okstate.edu. And we always have great information, answers to questions, photos, and gardening discussions on your favorite social media as well. Join in on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can find this entire show and other recent shows, as well as individual segments on our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. And tune in to our OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel to watch segments from previous hosts. Oklahoma Gardening is produced by the Oklahoma Cooperative Extension Service as part of the Division of Agricultural Sciences and Natural Resources at Oklahoma State University. The Botanic Garden at OSU is home to our studio gardens, and we encourage you to come visit this beautiful Stillwater jewel. We wish to thank our generous underwriters, Southwood Landscape and Garden Center, and the Oklahoma Department of Agriculture, Food, and Forestry. Additional support is provided by Pond Pro Shops, Greenleaf Nursery and the Garden Debut Plants, and the Oklahoma Horticultural Society. We hope you enjoyed this video. It's part of our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. You can also find even more videos on our OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.